Well, this week was the best of times and the worst of times for New World fans. It is the age of transformative AI technology, apparently. If you have not heard the news, Amazon is canning New World. It is being shut down as of next year. This is a real juxtapose coming from the fact that 2 days ago, I just made a video going through everything that was great about New World and how the new patches felt great. And I'm not the only one. There are a ton of players that have been stopping in on New World playing it. The player count was going up as it generally does with all of the patches. In fact, it would have been higher if they had added servers. That was one of the things I was pointing out, the problems with New World, is they weren't opening up servers and it was sending a lot of players away. People were sitting in queues all day. Well, now we know why they didn't open new servers, because they were planning to shut this goddamn thing down. In today's video, I kind of would like to talk a bit more about this. I have seen some heavy-duty copium going on in the New World community, and I get it. I wish New World was sticking around, but it is not. In fact, I don't think this is the only thing you should expect. This kind of feels like just how things are getting started right now. I'm still taken back by the whole thing too. I was live on stream when the announcement kind of dropped. First, there was this Bloomberg article which pretty much announced the Amazon layoffs and that it was going to be impacting all the AAA studio development here, which they noted specifically around MMOs. So this is also affecting the Lord of the Rings Online, which is also now effectively canceled, and that news is unofficially, I think, officially out there. That one is done too. For those of you that don't know, Amazon's been working on a Lord of the Rings MMO for many years. They had been working on it, kind of canceled it, picked it back up, and have continued working on it. That one's pretty much done as well. For those of you looking for something maybe a little more official on the Lord of the Rings one as well, I did a little digging. Every gaming website is referencing this message from Ashley Amarine, whose message has now been deleted as well from LinkedIn because I tried to pull that up to verify if that was real. This is what the message looked like. Deleted this post. So I did a little more digging since none of these other gaming websites seem to be able to. There are definitely some other people that worked on the game that were let go. And these are pretty senior people. We have folks that worked on New World and then were working on Lord of the Rings. They've been there for a little bit. I even stumbled upon Patrick Smedley, which is apparently John Smedley's son. For OG people that might know EverQuest PlanetSide days, he's a pretty big guy in game design. But anyway, he worked here too. He worked on New World, it looks like, for a couple years. They even show, it looks like he shifted off of New World in 2024 October. So, I mean, you can even see he was working on Lord of the Rings. One of the guys that actually has information, and he's pretty high up too, as far as development goes. But yeah, you know, drove improvements to the AI tooling and behavior pipeline, resulting in AI creation being 3 times faster than the team's previous title, which is New World, of course. So yeah, I mean, they were carrying things over. They were definitely moving teams from New World over to this. But all in all, the point is they are shutting down Lord of the Rings. You don't fire all these people to continue developing the game. But that's kind of all the digging I want to do. I saw people not really officially reporting. I wanted to find something a little more concrete on the Lord of the Rings game. I know there were a lot of people, including myself, that were very excited for it. But even Steve Boom's message highlighted that they are really halting production on AAA stuff. So Lord of the Rings, of course, is included in that. But it was pretty awful having to dig through LinkedIn and see all these people impacted by this. Really sorry for everybody that's impacted. They are having to re-enter a workforce that is not really friendly right now. They're not really hiring people. All these companies are doing the same shit. They are slashing jobs. It really sucks. So I'm sorry for all those people that are affected by this stuff. It's really heartbreaking. Like, the amount of people that had been playing New World, a lot of excitement. I had a ton of people from my community hopping in. Whether I was streaming or not, there were a ton of people in the guild online. I myself was on a lot. I was finally relearning like combat, how to play the game, leveling up different professions, just all sorts of things, different builds I wanted to go at. Took me a goddamn week to like really understand the whole infix system, and it's just like in a moment it's just like poof, none of it really seems to matter anymore. And it's pretty interesting because a lot of people are feeling this. I mean, you can see from the graph a large chunk of the player base is just gone. This is just after the announcement. They were doing like 40 to 50K people, you know, on the weekdays a little less, but on weekends a bit more. with more capacity on the servers, probably even more players, and this doesn't include console players too, which at this point was a significant amount of the audience. But just suddenly, we are down into pretty piss poor numbers, and this is only a day or two after. Checking on this in like 2 weeks, or let's say post-November, I think you're going to be lucky to break 5,000. And I wouldn't be surprised if it goes as low as something like 2,000. I mean, it's going to be competing with games like Pantheon at that point in the MMO scene. It's pretty depressing. Now, the servers will still be up all the way through 2026, or honestly, they said through or into 2026. I wouldn't be surprised if they announced something like in January that they are shutting the servers down. I think they said they'd give a 6-month warning, and maybe they just turn them off in like July or something. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think it very much costs so much. The reality is they've let go of everybody at these studios. People have already posted this and shared, all the way up to top leadership positions. For a lot of the people that are on Reddit, and it's kind of sad, but there are a shitload of people, trying to sign petitions, keep the game open. Somebody else come and buy New World, please. The reality is, there's a multitude of reasons it just doesn't work. I mean, for the most part, New World hasn't done dramatically well. I'd say what Nighthaven was, and with everyone's bias included, was one of the first times it kind of felt different. It felt like it was maybe pivoting in a better direction. There's always this surge on the once-a-year patch, but I'd say there was more of a build-up before this patch. Even in Season 9, some organic hype was being built. And the reality is, the game was just starting to feel better. There were certain things that were feeling really good to a lot of players. Would it have maintained the success? No. I mean, this has been constantly a problem with New World, is that it couldn't hold people really beyond these patches. People would drift off, and by the time January came around, it kind of flattened out all the way up through fall. So for 3/4 of the year, this game kind of looked dead on its numbers. The reality is these numbers don't really matter. It's difficult for people that are playing the game to see, but you have to step really far back and understand the people that made these decisions, they don't even know we exist. They don't know anything about gamers. They don't really give a shit. You'd have to step back and understand that this whole thing, New World, comes from kind of a longer battle, a strategic goal with Amazon, which is massive, of course. But they did have interest in gaming, and that interest started back in about 2014, and that is when they originally bought Twitch. Now, this was just one step. They paid almost $1 billion for that, but really their goal was to directly compete with Steam, to not just be a competitor, but to overtake them, which a lot of people have wanted to do and have tried to do, but have all failed to do. Steam is just still dominant. Steam still makes billions of dollars a year. But Amazon, originally, they bought Twitch. They picked up Lumberyard, which was just a spin-off of CryEngine, okay, and that's what New World is made on. Lumberyard is now open sourced, and almost nobody has ever developed a game using Lumberyard. Everyone just sticks with Unreal and Unity for the most part. They're pretty tried and true. But this was originally part of their equation. They'd have their own engine. They owned Twitch, which was kind of the lifeblood of streaming gaming. It was a phenomenon at the time. And it's true. It's been put in hands of really shitty people and driven into whatever the hell it is today. Beyond all that, they had AWS, which they still use, and AWS GameLift is just a backend solution that devs use for multiplayer games. Things use it like Dead by Daylight or Apex Legends. That's how you host those multiplayer games, can match people, low latency, all that stuff. Very successful because it relies on the AWS hyper-efficient cloud-based service they have. Basically, their whole cloud infrastructure is what kind of drives Amazon. Amazon makes a ton of money off the whole AWS thing. A couple weeks ago, or it was last week or something, AWS went down and tons of services across the entire country were impacted immediately. It's pretty scary, but everybody relies on AWS. So that part is very successful. Lumberyard, not so much. Twitch, not really as relevant, and now it's, spun off into politics and whatever else, IRL stuff. Another big investment they made then was to pick up the different studios they have. So they have various game studios, which is the strategic thing you are seeing as of today. Let me circle back to that. But yes, they picked up tons of studios because they're going to make games. They're going to make games with their engine, showcase their engine, try to get other people to use it. Part of when they picked up Lumberyard is they open sourced it so other people could use it and didn't have to pay a fee. Other developers have to pay people like Unreal Engine or Epic Games. They pay either a percentage, they have different rates. They wanted to attract people. This is all the ways Amazon was trying to get into gaming and dominate pretty much at every single level. And I think lastly, like they tried to tie in things not only by leveraging like Twitch Prime and having that through Amazon Prime, but they also had like their own game store. I think they've had like 3 or 4 different versions of their game store. That thing is like almost completely always been a failure. Most recently, they have a service which I wasn't even aware of, Luna, which has been around for a while, which is kind of now rolled into their, cloud-based solution. Part of the problem with Amazon is they have all these different feet in gaming and people don't even know half the shit, I feel like. Like I went and looked into Luna and I was completely unaware of this product, but this is, kind of what their new focus is and part of their new strategic goal. A lot of you have heard, maybe you haven't, Courtroom Chaos, but, New World's kind of died for this, you could say. But they have other stuff. They have a lot of AAA titles here, and you can stream. This is no different than, like, NVIDIA's GeForce that they're trying to compete with. And the number one top dog is Microsoft. They have the biggest cloud gaming just because they naturally have roped in so many people. But those two are definitely the biggest. Amazon, I mean, if you have Prime, you have access to this, and there's games in here. That's what I mean. I don't even think they effectively advertise whatever they're doing. Although this is the direction they're going, so you're probably about to see more of this stuff happening. All in all, the TLDR of this is over the years since like mid, 2014-ish, Amazon has tried to really compete in gaming. New World didn't really die just because these numbers are like this. They were going to move away from this. Like, they wouldn't kill off Lord of the Rings unless they're making like a complete pivot. In conjunction with all that BS happening, we are now in the modern day of AI happening. So every company is trying to be lean, and thus this whole gaming division that is not really performing and seems strategically lost and frankly has strategically failed is now just shifting. Amazon is moving just to a kind of, we're going to develop low budget party games like this stuff. We'll put them on Luna. Luna will kind of probably be the new, thing that they're showcasing. And this is kind of going to be Amazon's new direction. Steve Boom pretty much said they are getting out of the business of working on AAA games. All right. You and I know this as we are moving towards just kind of generating some AI slop. And there's going to be a lot of crap games, but they're basically going to force this stuff with a limited amount of developers and the limited amount of studios they have until they can figure out what works. This is just the modern day of where we're at. AI first or AI pivot, whatever you want to call it. All these larger companies are doing this. It's going to really ripple into the gaming industry in a bad way. It already has, right? You guys have already seen there are Microsoft studios that have already been impacted. EA and these other studios, they're already just coming out and openly stating, hey guys, laying off a bunch of people, super excited to move into the future of AI. And this has just kind of been the trend, like all the big companies are doing this, and the same thing happens when they do all these things, okay? You'll see it right here. Lay off a bunch of workers, announce how we're doing new AI stuff, boom, stock price go up, people are unemployed. It really sucks. But this is the modern state of the world. This is 2025. 2026 probably isn't going to be that much more generous for gaming. All right, get used to headlines like Jeff Bezos becomes $24 billion richer as Amazon surges. Stuff like this is going to kind of be the new norm. I think Microsoft's probably due for another round of layoffs. I mean, even Amazon is going to continue. They even said as much. This is not the end of what they're doing, but this is kind of where their gaming is going. And if people didn't see and understand like the whole picture of all this, that's what's happening. Gaming's going to be in a rough spot, and specifically certain genres, none more than MMO, I feel like. MMO has so much overhead, so much development time, and that's just seen as a risk, especially when you're trying to just flesh out and develop these AI tools, because in a few years, we will probably have more developed AI tools. that developers would be able to use to make an actual MMO in a decent amount of time. But as of today, we are not there. We do not have the tools. We don't really have the teams to do that. We are in this really weird spot where anything that is AAA, which are the only ones that can seemingly fund kind of a larger project, are going to probably get canned, as New World has. I mean, Microsoft just did this a few months ago. It feels like people are not drawing the line from point A to point B. This just happened with Project Blackbird, which, if you don't know, is made by ZeniMax Online Studios. I pretty much do this now because I played Elder Scrolls Online for 5, 7, 8 years, whatever it was. That's mainly what I've always streamed, and that was made by ZeniMax Online Studios. The only other game that they tried to put together was Project Blackbird, and they came through and they canned everybody. This was hundreds of people that were laid off, and this didn't happen very long ago. This was Microsoft, and I guarantee you that Microsoft is due to lay off more people. So it's very scary to be a game dev right now. I saw a lot of people recommending ESO, and I've always loved ESO. I've put over 10,000 hours at ESO. I generally would recommend it to a lot of people, and I still would. I mean, especially like console didn't have many options, and that's on there. I preferred New World, but mainly where ESO has gone the past few years isn't really my interest. They've really just done a disservice to the PvP crowd. It's super casual, friendly, theme park type MMO, so it's totally an option for you. I only bring all this up because that's the only games that MX Online Studios is running now. Their whole future was Project Blackbird. And it wasn't just like, once they canned this project, this was a lot of people. They put a lot of their veteran talent from ESO. They were moving on to this. This was going to be their new thing. I mean, even the guy that owned the studio, Matt Firer, the next day, he was pissed off as shit and immediately retired. I mean, the guy's loaded. He's going to retire with tons of money. But he actually liked gaming. Like, a lot of the people at that studio are OG game developers. They made Dayak and stuff. There's a lot of veterans, old school people there that were canned. And yeah, these guys moved on to Sackbird. I think this is probably where the future might be, is these smaller studios, like a smaller team like Expedition 33 that can kick out this stuff. Or just like in the next few years, we have some tooling that probably will help people that will come along with AI. But these large AAAs, primarily anybody under goddamn Microsoft, because Microsoft somehow is allowed to buy like half the gaming industry and is just canning various people at different layers because it's not personal. It's not personal to them. It is their entire portfolio that they are trimming. Because again, this isn't just gaming. We are in the age of AI where every large company is constantly trimming people from all departments. Gaming is just a tiny part of, Amazon pretty much doesn't have anything left to trim. They might lay off the rest of the people after New World's officially sunset, but that's it. But other people like Microsoft, I mean, they had successful games last year and they immediately shut the studio down. But I think they see this game, like, I can't imagine why they shut down. This was a future MMO, other than the fact that people aren't interested to kind of get in MMOs. Or it could be the fact that ZeniMax also had a union and Microsoft maybe just wants to kill the whole studio to kill the union. I don't really know which one it is. But all in all, my point is I fear for Elder Scrolls Online's future as well. I fear for any of the MMOs, except like WoW. WoW makes so much money, and there's a reason they're not making another MMO. I don't think we're going to ever have that next great MMO until we have the developed AI tools that will allow a smaller team to efficiently make it. Other than that, I think we are largely going to be at the mercy of various like Korean MMOs that come in. There's tons of them. They roll in. I actually enjoy their gameplay to a degree, but I hate how predatory they are in their microtransactions. They are all built like that. They all seem to be built with money first and then like gameplay second, if that. And it really bothers me because there's a lot of them that have such like great combat, great visual. Performance is largely amazing with a lot of them, but they're very much push a lot of predatory spending. There's just like constant pop-ups to like buy stuff, and there's 15 menus to buy things and 3 passes and different season passes I can buy with a sub that I can boost. There's just Korean MMO, they kind of drive me a bit nuts. So it's unfortunate because everything in the Western market is what you're seeing here. All these guys, when one company has to let go of people, the next one has to, okay? Because the stock price goes up, all right? And everybody is just in a constant chase of letting people go, looking leaner, looking more attractive to investors. And again, this is a larger issue outside of just gaming, but gaming is being caught up and swept up with some of the larger ones, specifically like EA, Ubisoft, Microsoft, and Amazon was never big, but what they did have, this is just like a sign of the times. And I think people are really blown away because overall, New World was very special. I will say this, New World was a very unique MMO. It was originally designed as like this supposed to be survival thing. It was just a project it had plenty of funding because AWS was just throwing money to make all this shit work. So they didn't have any issues there. They were making a nice game. It wasn't originally supposed to be what it was. It came out, it obviously needed to pivot, but what it did have was the best sound in gaming, paired up with really good visuals, okay? It had such great environments, different biomes and stuff, and then it just had good combat and physics. Those things were all great. It was not a perfect game. It had such critical flaws, specifically its endgame, various PvE stuff, and even PvP, and early on performance wasn't great. It took a while to work that shit out. The first year, I did not enjoy the performance. Like wars were laggy with ice gauntlets. There was a lot of problems, okay? There were a lot of problems with New World. But what's so sad is that this whole game, like just a lot of the different places you've seen and you've been, like this time next year, probably just gone. Like the only thing you'll have are whatever like YouTube videos or like recordings or like it's like the friends you made along the way. It's pretty wild because so many of the things were so high quality in this game that if it was owned by somebody else, yeah, it probably wouldn't get shut down, or if it did, someone else might want to pick it up and work with it. Like if it was on Unity or something, someone might want to pick up assets from it. But because it's on Lumberyard, nobody's really going to pick this thing up. So it's very sad. It's all going away. It's kind of depressing, but overall, I just kind of want to make this video and talk more about it because I see so many people that are just, they're kind of hyper focused on this shit I've had on screen the whole time. Look at the numbers. Oh, it was good. You know, we just needed to spend a little more money. Nah, this was never happening, okay? Amazon is a giant, and we're also just in the age of AI. These 2 points together, you know, watch closely and expect Microsoft is going to also trim down and slim off some other potential studios. It's already happened. I mean, it's not like I have a crystal ball that we obviously know this is going to happen, but people continue to be surprised, and it's just unfortunate until we hit some kind of burst in the bubble or something really pivots and changes here. This is kind of the new norm. So hopefully there are more people that actually do what these ZeniMax devs did, and maybe they can make these small studios like Expedition 33 did. There's a lot of stories, and hopefully you see more like that, of these just kind of smaller teams that can develop in the fallout of all this stuff, because AAA gaming will shift more so into AI stuff, testing AI tools, driving stuff. It's just going to be very profit focused to the point that the games are probably going to be largely shitty, and most of them are okay with that. A lot of these mega companies, they're okay with taking a lot of losses on games, a lot of failures, just to be the first to arrive at the solution. They want to be on the cusp of success. Who's going to put this picture together and figure out how to make games with AI? That's all they really give a shit about, all right? Because that's going to put them at the front of the line on actually kicking out the new age of slop for the new age of gamers that comes after all this stuff. So that's all my thoughts. It's a bunch of tangented thoughts. It's very sad for MMOs. That's what I think the TLDR is. What can really replace New World for you guys? Nothing, honestly. There's not anything like it. It was in its own little unique spot. It kind of touched different categories of gaming despite largely just being an MMORPG. It did touch different stuff. I mean, I'd recommend like playing different like survival games. There's a lot of good ones. It's a genre I really like, and I feel a lot of New World in there, right? Like I could go play PAX Day and feel the crafting element, kind of an immersion of New World, but I won't feel the combat, right? Actually, the combat I really can't feel anywhere else. Guild Wars 2, ESO, you're not going to feel that same combat in New World. You'll have to find that from other games. And honestly, like maybe Chrono Odyssey, but you know, I'll poke in and try the things. I'm happy to always try the MMOs out. I really am. And maybe I'll be surprised, because that's certainly always possible. But keep your eyes and ears open. We'll see. Get ready for the dark ages of MMORPGs, though, over the next few years. I think that's what you're in for a little bit. I'm probably going to poke at Ashes, and I'm sure it's got its red flags, but like, you know, I don't know. Other than that, small time RPGs and survivals for me, that seems like what my future is largely going to consist of. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like. Very interested to hear and see your guys' thoughts on a video like this one. It's a little different than what I usually do. Just kind of me been ranting about the industry, a very sad part of the MMORPG, which is an industry I have long felt a bit lost in. So take care. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next one.